And let me share my screen here. Okay, cool. So that's better. Okay. So logical files borrow data from physical files. Logical files do not hold data. They hold field names, but not even their description. Logical files are objects. They're considered to be files. They are treated as file object. That means they are associated with data. The only reason you want to have a logical file, when you want to have a window into the actual data set and you do not want to give the access to the entire data to anybody, and you want to give them limited access to the data, that's when you want a logical file. And when you give them access to the logical file, you don't even need to tell them that it's a logical file. They will interact with it as if it's a physical file, and that will limit the access to the physical file. So logical files cannot exist without a physical file object. So you must have a physical file object created. Means you have to have a physical file source code. You must compile it and then create it into an object. It could be an empty physical file object. It doesn't need to have a data for you to have a logical file, but practically speaking, logical files would need data. That's the whole point. Logical files can borrow data from one or more physical files. So today we will learn about logical files borrowing data from one physical file, but they can also borrow data from multiple physical files, which we'll learn next week, which is about joins, okay? The benefits of logical files include that you could filter the data horizontally. That means you can say, give me all those students who are engineering students. So you get everything about those students who are engineering students. So that's horizontal dissection. Or you could have a vertical dissections. For example, give me all the students' first name and their grades. So you're getting only certain columns, okay? Or both. That means give me the ID and the grades of all the engineering students. You're only getting 2 fields of a limited data set. Logical files are always up to date. That means whenever you query a logical file, it queries the physical file. It doesn't hold any data. So it always queries the physical file, so you always have up-to-date data. It does not take up any disk space for data because it always borrows the data. Disadvantage is it's an overhead in queries because you query an object, which then queries other objects for you. So then there is an overhead. There's an overhead in coding a logical file. However, creating a logical file requires a library exactly the same way that you need a library for physical files, a source physical file where you put your member source code exactly like a physical file. And then you need to have a member name and you need to have a member type of LF. Inside the logical file, you have to make sure that the very first line is where you make a reference to the physical file by calling a function pfile and then giving it the name of the physical file to which you want to tap into and borrow the data from. Physical file object is the name of the physical file object where a logical file object will borrow the data from. Logical file members will then list all the fields it wishes to borrow. Here's an example. In this example, you can see that the logical file has a record format and it is tapping into the physical file by the name of OCT activity. And it is only borrowing these 2 fields. You just need to list the field names. You do not need to list even their data type, nothing. You just need to tell the system that I want to borrow the data in these 2 fields from that file. And those fields have to be in that file. If there's a field mismatch name, then you won't be able to create a logical file. And when you're done typing everything, you save the changes in RDI and then you go to compile, and then you pick create LF and that creates a logical file for you. Logical files are found in views, not in tables. So when you go to the Data Source Explorer, you don't look in the tables for them. You look for them in the views. Does anybody has any questions so far? Okay. So now let's do this. Let's go to the RDI. And give me a green check whenever you guys are ready. And let me get ready too. So open RDI when you are in. Make sure you log into your library. So the source physical file that we will use is FA22, your initials A. So again, let me know when you guys are here. Nathan, Pamela, okay, okay. Xavier, all of you. Let me know when you have made this far that you have located your physical source physical file. Okay. Now you right click on your source physical file or create a new member. So what we will do in our today's class is we will create again a source physical in a source physical file, a physical file member. Then we will put some data in it, and then we will be writing some logical files, many logical files that will interact with the data in different capacities. So let's create a new member in that same logical file, like same source physical file. So the name of this member will be books FA22. Books FA22. Make sure you choose PF for the member type. and then hit finish. What is the first thing that I do? I press F4 for me to open the source prompter, right? And then I can go down and name type, choose R, come up with a record format name, and then work from there, okay? However, I don't want to do that. I want to rather type the word unique on the first line, and I want to start with my record format on the second line. And then I'll start listing my fields. What data type do we use for date? L. So give me a green check when you guys are done creating the object. So I'm waiting for Pam. So when Pam will give me an okay, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, cool. Now, after that, you click on the data development or database development in the top right corner. You see blue cylinders. You click on that. And that will open up the Data Source Explorer. Then you click on your Death Star connection and you log in. It probably should not even ask you because you're already logged in. And then you can browse down to your schemas, your tables, and you should find the books FA22 in that list. Books FA22 should be in that list. Now you right click on books FA22 and go to data and click on edit. And then once it brings up this, we'll put some data here.
So can I just stop you for one moment?
Sure.
So after I'm in tables, if my books doesn't appear.
Did you check your commands log to make sure that your table was created?
Oh, I forgot that.
Scroll down to the bottom of commands log, and you should see a message that reads books FA22 added to books FA22 in your library.
Yes, I have that message.
Okay, so now right click on the tables and refresh to see if that fixes the problem.
No.
Go ahead, share your screen. Let's look at it. What's going on?
Go here.
Can you switch back to the other, the RSE? Yeah. Now, can you check the commands? Okay. Actually, no. You never compiled. It was never compiled. See, your source file is not even saved. That is from when the member was created. That's when the message is. The one in the commands log. It doesn't say books FA22 added to books FA22.
Oh.
So it's not even compiled. You see the little asterisk on your tab next to books? No, on the tab. Tab is always at the top.
I'm looking here.
Look at your tabs that are open. No, tabs, not menus. You know the tabs or no?
Where file edit sources?
No. Those are menus. Tabs are right above your source code where you see deathstar.gtc.edu, IBM IRSC getting started. No, a little bit to the left.
Oh,
yeah, these are the tabs. Okay. Now look at your tab for books FA22. Do you see a little asterisk? That means the file is not even saved.
okay.
So you got to save the file
So I was going to
by hitting the save icon on the toolbar. Yeah. Now click in the source code.
source code.
Source code is where you were typing before. I mean, like where your text was coming at. Right in the center. Right in the center where you see the unique and the record format. Yeah, that's your source code. Click there. Okay, now you hit the compile and compile. and then you go inside create PF.
There we go.
Now it is compiling. Now it is compiled. Do you see the message at the bottom now? Go to commands log. Look at the very last line. It says that the member was added to the file. Now it is an object.
Okay.
Now you switch over and then you right click on tables and refresh. Now it's there. Okay. Okay. So now I'm putting in the data. So for those of you who are having a little bit difficulty reading, I have zoomed in my data here on this. So this is the data that I entered. And then when you're done entering your data, you hit save. And then give me a green check whenever you are done with entering the data. And you right click on the object and return all rows. So I'm just waiting for Xavier to give me an okay or thumbs up. And Ismail and Nathan and Pamela, all three of you, and Xavier, you two now, have you right-clicked and return all rows on your object and are able to see the data set in the bottom right corner? Okay. Now we will click on the Remote System Explorer icon in the top right corner, which is a server like symbol. Let me close this tab. I'll leave the physical file tab open because we will be constantly referring back to this tab. One second here. Okay. And one more minute. I'm just grabbing the source code and the output so that when I start working with the logical files, I will have both of those on me on my second screen. That'll help me write my logical files a little better. Okay, so let me clear your feedbacks here. So now we will right click on the same source physical file to create our next member, which we'll call BKS FA22. Rather, let me call it BKFA22 LF01. Okay, so it's logical file number 1. So BKFA22 LF01. I'll also put this name in the chat so all of you can see the name. And then in the type, I will choose PF. Oh, sorry, LF, not PF, LF. So choose LF and then hit finish. On the very first line, we bring the prompt. We choose the record format. And I will use the same record format name as I had in my physical file. No difference. P file, books, FA22. So I'm using the same record format name. I'm telling that I want to grab my information and field descriptions from a physical file by the name of books FA22. Save the changes and compile. Check your commands log to make sure that it tells you that BKFA22LF01 is added to the file BKFA22LF01. Okay, so make sure you save and then you compile and check your commands log. And then I'll tell you what to do next. So give me a green check when you guys are done with this. Okay, so Nathan is done, Pamela is done. Okay, I'll wait till Smile and Xavier. Xavier is done. Okay. Wait for Smile. You got to make sure for this step that your record format name is exactly the same as your record format name in your physical file. Okay, so Smile, make sure that your record format name matches exactly between your physical file and your logical file. And also make sure that in the functions, you do not leave any space between P file and parentheses. And the third thing to keep in mind is that the name of your physical file must match with the name of your physical file. So check these three things. Those are the only three things that could possibly go wrong in this one line. And fourth thing, make sure that you have a logical file member in LF. It should be the name.lf. Aha, okay, cool, awesome. Now, after that, switch over to the Data Source Explorer. And in the Data Source Explorer, you will now close tables and you will now open views. Okay, you will right click on the views and refresh. And now you must be able to see a view by the name of BKFA22LF01. And when you now right click on this view and go to data and return all rows, you should be able to see now everything that you entered in your physical file. Practically speaking, we will never create a logical file like this, but the only reason I created this was just to show you that if your logical file name has the exact same record format name as your physical file, and you do not mention any field names whatsoever, it's an indicator that I want to borrow everything. Practically speaking, you will only do it under the situation where somebody needs access to your entire data set, but you're reluctant giving them full access to the data set, because giving them full access means they can now edit, they can delete, they can update, they can insert. You do not want any of those operations. You only want to give them a full access of view only. So you can create a logical file, borrow everything from a physical file, and give them access to that logical file so they can only view the data, but they cannot change or remove or insert new data. So that could be the only practical reason somebody would do something like this. Does that make sense? Yep, it's read only, absolutely. Read only all access to the data. Correct. Now let's switch back to the Remote System Explorer. And now the next step I'm about to do is very important because sometimes RDI doesn't do well with this step. So we got to be careful about it. So you first of all click anywhere in the source code, and then you can click File, Save As. File, Save As. Change the name from 01 to 02 and click OK. This is where you have to make sure one thing. First of all, close the tab. close the tab altogether for the LF01, which was saved as LF02. Then make sure that LF02 is listed in the list down here. If it is, that means it was able to successfully save the file for you in the Explorer. Sometimes what happens in RDI, you save the file as, it tells you that it did, but it actually never did it. So that's why it's always a good idea to close the tab, look for the new name in the source physical file, and double click on the new name to open it again. Okay, so do that. And now let's make some changes. This time, we will not borrow everything. We will borrow only some of the fields, but everything in those fields. So let's say if I want to borrow the ISBN number, and I want to borrow the book title, and I want to borrow the book price. So somebody has placed a request that they only need the book's ISBN number, the book's title, and the book's price. That's all they need, and that's all I'm doing. I'm only borrowing these three fields. Again, I save the changes, I compile to create the logical file. It should come back, tell me, no problem, check the commands log, it'll tell me the object is created, and then you go to the Data Explorer, same 9 yards, you go to the Data Explorer, you go down in the views, you refresh the views, and you should now see the number 2 there. And then you right click on the number 2 and data and return all rows. And this time you should only see all the data in 3 fields. That's about it. Again, give me a thumbs up when you're done with this step. And have checked to make sure that you can see the data. Pam, you got it too? Pam, any questions?
I'm here. I'm just trying to, I'm missing a step. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay, you can see my source code, right? I just included the 3 fields. The only thing I want you to check is this. I put the field names the way I have them in my physical file. Sometimes when people are copying, they misspell. Make sure your ISBN and your title and your price are spelled the way I have spelled them.
Right.
Okay, so if you are spelling your fields correctly, it should work just fine.
No, I have an extra line saved. It was blank, but I'm trying to figure out how I would go back to take that out.
I can walk you through if you want me to.
Okay. Let me share. I think I did it when we first were doing it. Hold on.
Okay, so go to that 000 and the leftmost zeros. Click in the leftmost zero. Yeah. Type D1 and hit enter. Okay, save the changes. Okay, and now click in the source code and compile, create a LF. Can you check your commands log? Oh, because you already compiled it once, maybe. Oh, no. You never saved it as. I mean, like you saved it as, but you still edited the first one.
Oh,
Okay. Why don't you do this? Go to the line 000102.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. No. Hold on a second. Click File, Save As. Click File, Save As. Change that 1 to a 2. Okay. Click OK. And say OK. Hit cancel. Hit cancel. Cancel. Yeah. Actually, do you see another tab next to it? LF02?
Where are you talking? Like over here?
Right. No. The tabs. Where did I tell you tabs
Yeah.
are? The tab, right.
Yeah.
Close
right
that LF02 tab.
Got it.
Okay, now save it as LF02. And click OK. And say, yes, I want to overwrite it. Okay, now close this tab once the dialog box close. Yeah, close this tab. Okay. Now in the list, double click on LF02. The list on the left-hand side, this remote system. Yeah. Click on the 02. Yeah. Okay, now click in the source code and compile this. Okay, now go to your Data Explorer. Data Explorer is the cylinders in the top right corner. Yeah, okay. And now you refresh your views. Views is on the left-hand side. Yep. And then you right-click on the LF02 and go to data and return all rows. And then you have all the data from those 3 fields only.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So then just to recap, anytime you want to delete something, you always want to go to that row and put D2 in.
If you want to delete 2 rows, then you put D2. If you want to delete 1 row, then D1. However many number of rows you want to delete, you put that number after the letter D.
Okay.
Okay. Now, now that we are back on in this, make sure you're back in the Remote System Explorer by clicking on the gray server icon, and then save your existing one as LF03. And I told you the drill. Close the tab. Make sure that you have 03 in the list. And Pam, make sure that you double click on the one that is 03. Do not reopen the previous one. And make sure by looking at the tab that you have 03 that's opened. Another thing logical file would be used for would be, let me type D3 on second line onwards to delete everything, but leave the first line only, is to grab everything back, but change the key field. That this time I want everything to be returned based on title. So sometimes logical files are created on a different key. Why would you do that? The reason you would do that is because if you want to query this on title more often than ISBN, so you want those queries to be faster. If you still have the key on ISBN and you are mostly querying based on title, your search results will be slower. So now what you need to do after that one change, save the changes and recompile. Once your compilation goes through, it should go through without a problem. Then you can switch back to the Data Explorer, refresh the views, and then return all rows. It will not make any difference, apparently, but it only makes a difference behind the scene. Apparently, you won't see a difference. Again, give me a green check. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to the Remote System Explorer. And we will save this one as number 4. After we save it as number 4, we will close the tab, double click to open the number 4. We'll make sure that number 4 is opened. And we'll start to make some changes starting from the very first line, from the second line. I will change the name type to nothing. And the field that I want to grab is, title. Another field I want to grab is publisher. And another field I want to grab is price. And the final field I want to grab is author. Save the changes and compile. Can you guys tell me what I did different in number 4 versus number 2? Besides 3 and 4 fields. You know, I had 3 fields in number 2 and 4 fields in number 4. Besides that, what else? And the fields that I pick are different. Yeah, besides those 2 differences, what other difference? Between the 02.lf and 04.lf. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Different fields, different number of fields besides these 2 differences. In number 2, I did not have a key field. Just like I don't have a key field in number 4. So that's a similarity. That's not a difference. What other thing is different here? This is a little bit of a tough question, and it needs you to pay a little bit more attention.
We talked about like the fact that it's in a different order, like title and price.
Yep. I did not follow. In number 2, I was following the order of the physical file. In the physical file, ISBN was before title and title was before price, even though they were not in the same or a sequence, but I followed the same order, right? So I made sure that ISBN is before title and title is before price. I made sure that happens. But in number 4, I changed the order. I put the publisher before the price. In the original one, the price is before publisher. In author is before price, but I put author after price. I can also do that in a logical file. Okay. So I can, I think you guys compiled this one, right? Number 4. Now go to the Data Explorer and refresh your views. And return all rows. You'll see everything from 4 fields, but just in a different order than they are in your actual file. Okay. Now let me go back to unit number 9. And let me go to the actual PowerPoint for this week, which is chapter 8 PowerPoint. And at the same time, I will also refer you to some pages in the book. Okay. So if you may switch to page number 338. 338. We will now be working with a special operator called selection operator, rather a selection keyword. And then the selection will allow us to select the limited data set. Means, for example, if I only want to select those books that were published by the publisher ABC, I can't do them right now. But with the help of select, I will be able to do it. Similarly, if I want to omit all the books published by ABC, I could then use the omit. So we'll be learning about select and omit, and that will be our main point for the rest of today's class, is to learn about select and omit. Okay, so select will help you select certain data, and omit will help you select all the data but the data that you want to omit. How do these selection and omission criteria work? You have an example in the book, which is page number 338, figure 8.6. And look at the very last line of that. In this example, the author is showing you that you want to select based on the department field, okay? And the department field, select only those records where department field value equals sales. Okay, select only those values where the department matches sales. So if the department doesn't match his sales, the record will not be selected. The next thing to pay attention to is the data written in single quotes is case sensitive. So if I had sales with all uppercase, then the sales will return no results. The second thing to keep in mind is that there is a space between EQ and the value. And what is this EQ? EQ is for equals. And then you may be asking, okay, what's this comp? Comp is for comparison. Okay. So you are comparing the value of each and every record for the department field to see if it matches sales or not. What are the other operators that you can use? That's on page number 339. And here's the list of the other operators. You could use EQ, NE, LT, NL, GT, NG, LE, and GE. And that's what these operators mean. And all this information is on page 339. Does anybody have any questions? Before we move to examples. All good? Okay. Now, let's go back to the RDI. And I have I have 04, right? Okay, so let me save it as 05. Let me go to the Remote System Explorer and open the 05. Okay, so make sure that your tab says 05. Now, add one additional line. On this additional line in the prompt, choose, I want to select the ISBN field. I want to select all the data where ISBN equals 1. Okay, I want to select all those records where ISBN equals 1. And hit enter. That's what you should see. Make sure You do not leave any space between the P and the open parentheses, and make sure that you do leave a space between EQ and 1 in single quotes. Save the changes. Do you guys think that this program will compile? No, it won't. Why? Why would it not compile? You all can see that it did not compile. The reason it did not compile was because the field in the selection is not among the fields listed. So you have to make sure that if you are planning on filtering some data out using a field, that field must already be listed. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to the end of first line and hit enter. That creates a new line. I went to the end of the first line and hit enter. That created a new line. And I will now add ISBN to the list, save changes, and I'll try to compile again. This time it will go through without a problem. Oh, hold a second. What is it complaining about now? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Make these couple changes here. First of all, go to the end of the first line and hit enter. And then when you create a blank line, on the blank line, type that record format. You can give your record format a name. And then I changed the record format name to a different record format name. The reason it's complaining is because I use a selection criteria. So I'm omitting some data. So I cannot use the same record format name. So that's why I had to make some changes. And then on the very first line, I have to give an indicator that I'm dynamically selecting some data. So that's what the DIN SLT is for. So make those two changes on lines 1 and 2, and then you can compile and then check the output. Did you guys get it to run? Yeah, you would have to write the dynamic select for you to select or omit some of the data. Yep. So change your record format name and then do a dynamic select. Cool. Nathan, how about you? Did you get it?
I got it, yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so now let's go back to the Remote System Explorer and save this as number 6. And then we will close the number 5 and reopen the number 6. This time, we will go down to line number 8. And the only change we will make is change the EQ to GT and change the 1 to a 3. So I changed the operator from EQ to GT. GT is for greater than, and I changed the value from 1 to 3. Let me show you another way to compile. You can also right click after you save the changes. You can also right click on the item in the Remote System Explorer, and you can compile from here as well. So you could compile from the menu and you can compile from here as well. Either way, it does the same thing. And once it compiles, you can go to the Data Explorer, refresh it. And then you can look at the data. And you will see that it returns only the ISBN 456. Okay, got it?
Oh, hold on a second. It logged me out of V2 Cloud or something.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Everybody else also got it?
Got it. Can I just ask a random question?
Yeah.
So when you're in like the command log, when you're in that little tab, and
Mhm.
you X out to close it, does that take that tab completely away? Like if you ever accidentally hit that?
Yeah, if you accidentally close it, for example, I'll show you. If I close it and the command log, I can always go back to the window menu and I can go to show view and I can click on commands log to open it again. And it opens back up. Okay. So all of these are located under window menu under show view.
Okay.
Okay. So we will now save this one as number 7. We'll close number 7 and we'll reopen it. Okay. And this time I will work with a field other than ISBN. I also want to get rid of ISBN. So I'm deleting that line that ISBN is. And I'm setting a different criteria that I want to select all those titles that are greater than G, just the letter G. Okay. So notice in this example that I didn't have to change my record format. It's just like it's different from the original. That's it. All I changed was the selection criteria. So once I compile it, I will check to make sure that I have the number 7 view and return all rows. And now I see all those titles that are greater than letter G. So it doesn't matter how many character long they are, as long as the names are after the letter G. Okay, I will be saving number 7 as number 8. And this time I will change my selection criteria on price as opposed to title. So I want to select all those books where price is less than 150. Now, since price is a number value, therefore I will not include 150 in single quotes. So here I have all those books that cost less than 150. And we will save number 8 as number 9. Open number 9. And this time I will introduce one additional field, the date of publish. So I'll add one more field to the list, DOP, and my selection criteria will also be based on the date of published. So I want to display all those all those books that were published before 2019. So less than 2019, January 1st. Okay, so that's, and the date values are in single quotes, just like text values. So putting the date, which is the first date in 2019, and with the less than value operator, I will be able to pick all those books that were published prior to that date. And you can see my dates in the DOP column, that all these dates are before 2019. Okay, everybody got this? Any questions, Xavier and Pamela? Okay, you got it too, Pamela? And Xavier, you also got it? Or no? Oh, you got it. Okay, cool. Awesome. Guys, let's take a break here till 7:55. And then when we come back at 7:55, we will start with the next set of operators, values and range. And then we will also look at omit. And then we will also look at the combination of select and omit. Just so that you guys know, what we worked with so far was a comp operator that we worked with number values, we work with date values, and we work with character values, and we use less than, greater than, equals to. All these operators work with all three data types. So when we come back, we will explore more operators. So I will see you guys at 7:55. Remind me, and let me resume the recording. So now let's move on to our next topic here in the slides. We have another operator called values. The values is the operator in which you can list multiple values. It's a keyword that selects or omits. If any of the values match, then the record will be selected. If any of the values match, the record will be selected. For example, if I want to select all those records where the publisher name is ABC or BCP or something else, then it will go through each record and I'm going to match that particular name with one of the names in the list. So if there is a match, that record will be selected. And that is not limited to text only. It could be done with numbers. It could be done with dates, whatever. However, in this operator, it looks for exact match, not greater than, less than kind of deal, okay? It looks for exact match. So let's try to do that here. Let's save this example as number 10. And let's try to open that. Oops, I think it did not get saved. See, this is a perfect example. Oh, maybe it did not get saved. Let me double check. No, it did get saved. Okay, cool. So let me open that LF10 here. I'm going to start making changes from the very last line. So I'll change the field to publisher, and I'll change my functions to values. So I want to select all those records where the publisher is either ABC or the publisher is BCP. So only those records should be selected. And this is case sensitive value. These are case sensitive values. So now let me save the changes and let me compile. And then let me run. And you will now see that it lists only those values or records where the publisher is either ABC or BCP. So Sam's publisher's record was eliminated. Okay. So now let me save this one as number 11. And this time we will select all those data sets where price matches one of these values. So if the price matches any one of these values, then the data will be selected. And this time you will see that only those records are selected which matches the price. I do not have anybody, any particular book that has a price of 126.66. So notice it did not even select that book. So if none of your books match any of the prices that I listed on line 8, that none of your books will be selected. They'll have 0 records. If 0 records are returned, that doesn't mean that you wrote something wrong. It just means that nobody matched the criteria. Okay. Did everybody got this? Okay. Now, let's move on to our next operator, which is the range operator. In the range operator, you can give the low value and the high value, and it's an inclusive range. So the values that are within the range are selected. So here the author gives you an example that I want to select all those employees whose salary is between 20,000 and 34,500. Okay. So if anybody's salary is not within this range, they will not be selected. So let's save the current example as number 12. And let me go down on the very last line after I close it, and let me reopen it. And I will change the operator to range, and I'll say, okay, give me all those books that are between 150 and 250. Oops, no hyphen. Okay, so give me all those books that fall within 150 to 250 range. Compile. Refresh. And return all rows. Okay. So I have only one book that is within that range. So that is the range operator. We'll do a couple more examples with range. I will bring in a text value or a character value, and I'm going to test with range. Then I'll bring in a date value. We're going to test with range, just so that you could see multiple implementations of the range operator. So first I want to test with a character value. So that's why I want to save this example as number 13. And I'll change it to where title is within the range of C and K. Okay, so as you can see, as I said, the title has to be within C and K range. So all the books that were picked, look at their first letters. They're all within the range of C through K. Now we will save this one as number 14. And this time I will change a date operator. A date field, DOP, where range is between, let's say if I want to select all those books that were published in 2022. So I'll start with 2022, January 1st, all the way through 2022, December 31st. So that will give me all those books that were published that year. Oh, I forgot to close the tab and open it. That's my mistake. See, that's what it does when you forget to select it by double clicking on it. Oops. Range 2022, January 1st through 2022, December 31st. Here we go. Okay, so there's only one book that I have in my database or in my physical file that was published in 2022. All of the books I have were published before 2022.
I'm sorry, could I interrupt you one time?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm stuck in the 13. So I'm trying to figure out where my error is with the price line, if I could share my screen.
Okay,
All right,
just 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
okay. So
Oh, check your line 103. Your line 103 has S. So go to line 103
oh,
and then go to the source prompt. Go to source prompter at the bottom and drop that S.
gotcha.
Yeah, and hit enter. Okay, and then also take the range away from line 103. Yeah, you never mentioned that on the same line where the field is.
Okay, so I'll take that out.
Okay, did your number 12 run or no?
My 12 did. I just got
Okay,
stuck on
okay,
13.
okay. Now hit enter and save the changes and compile.
Okay. Hope it takes a moment.
because what you are doing here was my 12.
Okay.
Okay. My 13 was actually with the title. So I think you might have your 12 and 13 somehow got mixed up. So return all rows here. Yeah, okay. That was my 12.
Okay.
Okay. So now you got to take open your 12 and see what it does. You know, return all rows, I mean, return all rows in 12. Yeah, you actually got the same query twice.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you delete number 13? Right click on 13 here and delete it. Drop.
Drop.
And then you'll click OK. Okay. Now you got to move back to your remote system explorer. Okay. And I'll share with you what 13 should be.
Okay. I should go back and save as.
Okay, so that should be your 13. So I think you wrote in the line of the title everything as opposed to writing it down below.
Okay. See, now I'm trying to save as 13. It's giving me difficulties.
Your 13 is already there. You don't have to save as 13. Just
Okay.
make changes to 13.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Too many steps ahead, I think. All right, let me do.
So your 13, the very last line should match this
Title.
because your current code for 13 is actually the same code as you have for 12.
Gotcha. So I did twice.
Yeah.
Almost there. Okay. And then when I return all rows in 13.
Yeah. So you first refresh your views and then right click and return on 13. Then you should see all the books between the letters C through K in that list.
Yes.
Okay. Now you will save the 13 as 14. And in number 14, as you can see on my screen, the last line is selecting on date field versus selecting on the text or the number. Okay, did you get it?
I'm just compiling
Oh.
14.
Sure. So that should give you all those books that were published in 2022.
Got it.
Okay, cool. Now, can you guys open number 7? And save number 7 as number 15. Close 15 and reopen 15. Okay. Right now, the way 15 is set up is it is supposed to select all those records where title is greater than G, right? Now come down to the very last line and change that S to an O. We're just reversing the criteria. So I want to select all those books that start with letters less than or equals to G. That's basically what it means. Otherwise, other way around. Okay. So why would you use omit and why would you use select? If you have less records to omit to select a larger range, that's more performance efficient query than if you had to go through a larger selection to omit a few. Okay. So now let's compile this. Just one change. Oops, I forgot to, I made a mistake there. I should have pressed enter. Let me go back to my views and drop the previous one, the previous 15. And let me make the changes to my 15 again. Okay, F4. I'm going to change it to O and hit enter. Now I will save the changes and compile. So that's the only change I want you to make in 15. Just change the S to an O. That's it. Compile it and then run it. So you will see in 15 that it will give you all those books where the heading or the title is less than G. Everybody got this? Okay, so Xavier got it, Pamela got it, Ismail and Nathan got it.
No, I think that yes was from before. I'm just trying to get it still.
Okay. Okay, Nathan got it. Let's see if Smile also got it. Okay, got it. Okay. Here is some instructions for you guys to follow next. One by one, you will open each of the logical file members from 08 through 14. Every time you open a member, you save it as with the next number in line, and then you will simply switch the S to an O, compile, save the changes, compile, and check the data. So you are basically doing just the opposite of selection for each one of them. You follow, everybody? Okay, so now give me a green check when you guys are done with all 7 of these. 8 through 14. Okay, so everybody got this working. Awesome. Now we will look at page number 342. Page 342. And that is yeah, you're the slides don't talk about it. Okay, so we will just talk through this process right from the book, page 342. On page 342, you notice that there are multiple selection lines. Taken together, these two entries state that the record should be included in the logical file if their department is research or if their salary is greater than or equal to 45,000. That means if you mention select criteria multiple times, it automatically ORs between them. Okay, let's first test this concept. So let me go back here and I will just save my last one as 23, okay, because you guys are already on up till 22. So I'm saving one of mine to 23. I'll close this and I will reopen the 23. So we'll start to make changes from the last line of 23. So I would like to select all those books whose title is greater than, let's say, R. Oops. Let me see if I even have a book that starts with anything. I shouldn't say R. Let's say P. Sorry, M. Let's say M. So that's my first criteria. And my second criteria is that the price of that book, or select any book whose price is greater than 200. So those are my two criteria. Either the title is greater than M, or the price is greater than 200. So either the title is greater than M or the price is greater than 200. So let me compile this one. And let me then run this one. So now you can see that the books that were selected for me are the books that cost greater than 200. And one of the two books is actually a letter greater than M. Well, it happens to be so that the second book met both criteria. It just happened to be so that the second book met both criteria. So if I were to return all rows, notice that those are the only two books that meet the criteria. Okay. So that's what happens when you use the selection on multiple lines. Then there is very interesting concept that if first line is the selection and the second line is omission, or if the first line is omission and the second line is selection, your logical file acts very differently. To understand that, look at page 342. And I want you to read page 342, second paragraph, which starts with for example, all the way till the end of that page. And that's where you will see the difference between first selection, then omission versus first omission, then selection. Page 342. Okay, everybody is done reading. Any questions about what you just read? Smile says no. Xavier, Pamela, Nathan, any questions about what you read on page 342?
None from me.
Okay. Xavier says no. Okay. Pamela, you okay too? So with that, we will now move on to page 343. So if you have only one S, Pamela was just asking everybody if they had any questions. Everybody said they don't have any questions from page 342. So I was wondering if you have any questions from page 342, what you guys just read. Okay, so page 343, when you use S only on the first line, but not on both lines, it automatically means that you want both criteria to be true for an item to be selected. Okay, that's what it means. So with that in mind, let's save our number 23 as number 24. Let's open number 24. On the first line, I want to change this to less than M. On the second line, I want to drop the S. So this is how we will end up. Select all those books where the title is less than M and the price is over 200. Save the changes. So now it is an and criteria that both conditions must be met for the book to be selected. Okay. If any one condition is met, then the book will not be selected. So we will compile number 24. And then once we are done with compiling number 24, we will move over to our data view, refresh, and return all rows. Okay. So for me, there was only one book and the name was less than M because it's J and the price was $256, which is over 200. So both criteria were met. And that's what happens when you push the selection. In one selection, if you push multiple conditions. So or means one of the two, and means both conditions must be true. Exactly the same way you learn about or and operators in programming class if you're taking Intro to Programming this semester. Okay, now I want you to read page 343 and 344. Read pages 343 and 344, and then let me know. Okay. Okay, so Pam, I will show you number 23 again so that you can complete number 23. So in number 23, we had a double selection criteria. And when you have a double selection criteria, it ors between the two conditions saying that all those records will be selected which meet the first condition, or all those records that meet the second condition. Sometimes it happens that there are records selected that meet both conditions. So that was number 23. Okay, so do number 23, and then let me know and I'll show you number 24 again.
And then
And
which number did you save the 23 from?
23, I just saved number 15 as number
Oh.
23, and then I made, I only updated the last two lines.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I will now open number 24, which is merely a little bit of difference from number 23, a change of the operator on the first line from GT to LT. Then I'm selecting all those books that are whose title is less than letter M. And on the second line, I drop the S. So when two conditions are together on a single S, that pretty much means that there is an and between the two conditions. So only those records will be selected that meet both criteria. That means the title has to be less than M, starting with the letter less than M, and then the price has to be over 200. And for those of you who are done reading pages 343 and 344, go to the Blackboard. Under this week, unit number 9, and you will see that I've given you some tutorials, YouTube tutorials on all of the concepts that we went over today. Multiple selects with or, multiple selects with and. Okay, so I've given you those tutorials. And then I've given you a review and an assignment. Go over the assignment and let me know if you guys have any questions about the assignment number 6, which is much simpler than what we went over today in class. Let me know if you guys have any questions about the assignment number 6. Well, you do if you look at the, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You do not make any logical file for publisher. Exactly. Yes. The reason I'm making you create that physical file is for 2 reasons. Number 1, so that you have one more experience of creating a physical file in the RDI. And for second reason, another experience of entering data in a physical file in RDI. And for the third reason, that in the coming weeks, in the next 2 weeks, I will give you a homework assignment that will require you to connect the data from both physical files. So when we learn about joins next week, so probably next week, most probably next week, I'll give you a homework assignment that will require you to connect the data between the two physical files. As you can see that they both have a common field, publisher ID. So we'll talk more about it next week. Yeah, so for this week, your logical file will be solely based on the books, correct? Yeah. Any other question, anybody?
Not from me.
I just have a question regarding the stuff that was due today.
Mm-hmm.
So the due date isn't updated in the grade book. So like when I submitted the quiz, it said it's late. Is that going to affect
Oh,
anything?
no, that's not going to affect anything. Probably because, yeah, let me fix that. Oh, yeah, because we were just a little behind. So I'll update that till 8th. Should be okay. Yeah, you should be fine. Don't worry about that. Okay. Then that's all for tonight, guys.